That's going in the recording now, Kai. Hello, everybody, and welcome to WCCF Tech, talking video games and other random shite. We've got 4 of us. It's like, bloody hell, what's happening?
Yeah, Chris, I think this is the 50th episode.
Is it?
Right? Yeah.
Bloody hell. And I said we had a month off, obviously, what with the big change of people, scenery, and, well, to be fair, I was dying before, and now I'm dying again, having woken up with, like, no throat. Which is,
oh, dear.
Yeah, it's all fun. So, we've got Kai, who's currently, well, in a public place at an expo, which we'll talk about that soon. We need to get the plague mask out. We've got Alessio.
Hey.
And we have Francesco again. Still
Hello.
no camera, still looking like a serial killer. I might have to find a different picture for you, Francesco.
Good to hear from you again, Francesco.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while since you last killed.
No, since I last saw Kai, because we saw each other at E3 like 2 years ago. I've lost track of time. With the pandemic, I'm not sure which year it is now.
The before times.
Before.
When people used to roam free and you could kill with impunity. The plague, the purge. So anyway, Kai, you're at a conference.
I am at PAX, quickly known for the PAX Pops, which we're all masking up, so hopefully we don't get that. But I'm here on site in Seattle, Washington for PAX West. Day 3 technically starts today, and I've seen all there is to see on the show floor within like the first couple hours.
That's not a very good sign.
So yeah. Is it a fair assumption that the show floor is basically less than half what it used to be?
Oh, absolutely. Like at this point, we're seeing more merch vendors than like demo stations or anything like that this year. You've got the usual people that are always showing up. You've got limited run games. You've got PM Studios showing off their indie lineup, like the sequel to My Time at Portia. A few other indie darlings here and there, but the only AAA publisher we have present this year is Bandai Namco. And they're using this opportunity to pretty much do some advertising for Tales of Arise, which launches September 10th on all major platforms that people care about.
So how much are they paying you to say that in full there? Tales of Arise, which launches on all major platforms.
I take no monetary compensation.
That doesn't mean they're not paying you, just in goods instead of money.
Yeah.
You whore.
It's weird, like playing a demo for a game that's out in less than a week, and that being like the main draw to the show floor. That's really strange. Like when I did PAX East, 2019, 2020, whatever the last one was. Sony pulled out just before the show, so we didn't get to see The Last of Us Part 2 there. But we still had Square Enix showing off Final Fantasy VII Remake. You had Fuser having a pretty huge station there. You had at least a dozen other bigger companies out there, and all the ones here kind of pulled out last minute. I was even hearing that Larian was supposed to show up to show something for Baldur's Gate 3, and they canceled last minute as well. So,
actually,
a weird convention.
Yeah, I have to quickly give kudos to Kai because he was at the very last in-person convention before COVID, which was PAX East in Boston.
Yep.
You know, it was I think February 2020.
It
And
wasn't a convention, but I was at an event in March. I think I called. Was it March? No, it was February as well. When I went to Berlin to look at Iron Harvest and Wasteland 3. Bloody hell! I think I caught COVID from there as well. Either from there or when I went to watch Stereophonics the week after.
Anyway,
that was pretty much me in Boston taking the plague back home to Ohio with me. My patient zero.
So Are you confident that we'll see conventions coming back, Kai? Or
I do. So far, this has kind of like been a testing ground. Everyone that's attending has to get these black wristbands with proof of vaccination. I think they might be lenient with like a negative PCR test from like the past 2 weeks, but everyone I've run into and talked to, like they've all been vaccinated. Everyone's been masking up for the most part. I mean,
I'm surprised. I thought that was like that was like completely anti-American, like freedom and liberty. You can't have my vaccine. You not having? I don't need to take it.
Yeah, well,
I'm not
thankfully
having no
those are the
black
kind of gamers
band.
that came out here. I mean, when you're paying $60 a day for a convention pass, you want to play by the rules so they don't take that away. And how they're charging $240 for this event is.
I think everything, God knows. I think everything I've heard, though, yeah, we're going to see conferences next year. That's when they're really going to come back, provided we don't get like yet another variant, like the Zeta variant of COVID or whatever else.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure it says it's the Delta variant going around now, but I'm sure there's been more than 4 variants. We should at least be on the Foxtrot variant, or I don't know.
I mean, I've read that there is already a newer variant in Colombia, I think.
Oh, jeez.
And early reports are also
that's
saying...
not so much of a variant as that's just the power of COVID mixed with cocaine.
Okay.
Super power.
That's what we call the Gamma variant. Hulk out from that.
Okay.
So since you're not dead yet,
what do we got?
Yeah, you're not dead yet, Kai. So if you do get the COVID, good luck. So the topics for today, we're going to talk about. Oh God, I just made myself laugh thinking we're going to talk about China just after COVID. Fantastic.
Your favorite?
I don't mind China. We're going to talk about China and how they're adding more restrictions to games. And my opinion on that might be quite surprising. I don't know. Probably it won't be surprising if people know me. We're going to talk about some rumored announcements or super announcements for PlayStation, which I'm not going to call them super announcements ever again. I feel like I need to burn my throat out for more than just the swollen skin at the moment. And also something about Mass Effect, which I haven't had time to read because I've been dying. So, yeah. So, Kai, do you know anything about what's happening with the China thing?
So I know the basic gist of it. I don't know how they're tracking this, like if it's linked to their social IDs or some sort of login they have to do. But the gist is, couple years ago, like around November or so, they started implementing pretty strict restrictions on minors being able to play. Back then, it was about like an hour and a half or so for weekdays. You could get a little bit longer, I think like about 2 or 3 hours on the weekends and holidays.
Yeah, I think it was 4 hours, wasn't it, on weekends?
It was 3.
3.
Yeah,
3? Okay. Yeah, and now minors are lucky to get 1 hour a day, and they actually regulate what hour you can play. So it's in the evening, 8 or 9 o'clock. That's really all that you can be able to hop in and play.
Yeah,
so, and they should be lucky. Back when I was their age, we didn't have these phones and video games. We had. They should be happy. I was playing Earthworm Jim on the Sega Mega Drive when I was their age.
Yeah,
pretty much.
They didn't bloody regulate which hour you could play, did they?
No, that's what parents. Yeah, no, true, but still, Earthworm Jim. No, to be fair, I'm hamming it for the sake of it, but I actually agree with the Chinese government to an extent. Because there's more than just regulations on hours, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. If you want to talk about that one.
So this is, sort of, we all know my thoughts on loot boxes and the fact that video games companies are doing their hardest, trying their damnedest to get kids addicted to gambling. We know they are.
Mm-hmm.
FIFA love to do it. FIFA, EA love getting kids addicted to gambling. The only thing they're not doing is going around actually taking them to Ladbrokes or whichever your local betting shop is. And instead they call him surprise mechanics. Set of bastards. So the Chinese government's very much restricting how much can be spent on these games as well. They're putting rigid age limitations in which, again, because of the way the Chinese government, which isn't a good thing, but they do very rigidly control the internet there, and they have a lot of control over the companies. They are able to check up on these things. Maybe we could do with learning some things about age checks from them. But yeah, if you're under a certain age, no loot boxes for you. And you know what? I'm all in favour of that. When it comes to hours of a day, I do think they are going too far. But at the same time, I do, to an extent, understand and agree that from a personal perspective, when I was younger, I wasted way too much time on World of Warcraft. I fucked up a lot of time when I was at school/college. And had I not been playing World of Warcraft until 3-4 a.m. and getting 3 hours sleep, 4 hours sleep, and I would have probably done a hell of a lot better in school than I did. And kids are stupid. Most adults are stupid. So we can't really trust them to manage themselves. That's what governments are in place for. So I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I don't have a problem with, one, stopping kids buying loot boxes and having a very rigid system which makes sure, yes, it's bad that Chinese government can pretty much look at your phone and say, oh, that person spent 20 pence on a loot box or whatever, and pretty much tell you what you've been looking at for the past month and how long you've been playing. But there are some benefits. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts, especially with only being limited to like an hour or so of game, I could see this being a little bit predatory towards kids, because if you only have an hour to play, you want to make the most of it. So some of these online social games that they do, a lot of gacha games, not all of them, typically have like build timers, stamina meters, all that sort of stuff. You use all your stamina, you can either wait it out, or you can pay a little bit of money, or like watch an ad to bypass that a little bit. I kind of see a simple system like that being implemented, some sort of like fast track system to kind of make the most of that limited amount of time you have.
They are limiting how much money can be spent in general on games, not just loot boxes. So possibly with ads, like you mentioned, but yeah, the paying money to fast track probably won't be able to happen.
Doesn't cost money to click on an ad, though.
No, true.
And as far as like the registration goes, I've dabbled with this in the past years ago, but like Korean beta tests, even feels like maybe a decade ago, you had to sign up for those with like a real ID or a Korean social security number to play those. So that kind of system in place isn't too surprising to have some way to like track and link the game account to an actual individual.
Yeah, that's still a thing, I think, in South Korea as well.
So what do you two think, Alessio and Francesco?
I go, Francesco, go.
Well, I do agree with the loot boxes stuff that you said, Chris, because it's just out of control and the kids are easy to manipulate buying. But setting just 1 hour, a precise hour to play, I don't really agree with that. I don't like restrictions at all. I understand that kids need restriction, but maybe it should be up to the parents, not the government. I mean, the government should probably think about much bigger stuff than just how much kids play online games. But I do agree that there needs to be a limitation, because, as you said, when I was young too, I ended up playing hours and hours and hours, and then just neglecting everything else. So you really don't have, when you're too young, you just don't understand what you're doing. But maybe 1 hour is too strict.
Oh, no, 1 hour is way too strict. I completely agree there. If I was in charge, if I was in charge, I'd probably set about 2 hours, 3 hours for a weekday, and 6 hours for a weekend.
Yeah, actually, I think as far as I understand it, they're allowing 1 hour on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays. But there is nothing mentioned about weekdays at all. So, except Friday. So, as far as I understand it, they literally cannot play from like Monday to Thursday. So, that's not really something I can agree with.
Yeah.
And
what
also,
happens if you turn it on like a Wednesday? It was like one of the Red Army just. Oh no, that was Russia. One of the Chinese army just come to your house like, turn it off. Okay.
I don't know, but also, I mean, there will be people who circumvent this. I don't know. Maybe you can just use the idea of an adult, like a friend or a parent or even a cousin. I don't know. Surely there are ways to circumvent this, but
ways.
Beside this, I think it's true that there should be regulations, especially with regards to the loot boxes. But I'd rather have governments and various associations deal specifically with the loot box issue without impacting gaming as a whole. Because of course there are some games that have no or very small microtransactions. So I don't think they should be caught in this web. And also, I mean, there are many devices nowadays, even PCs or smartphones, consoles too, where the parents can actually, set up a limited amount of hours for minors to play. So it's just up.
Yeah.
It's just up to the parents to do it, but most of the time they don't. So maybe the government should endeavor to educate parents in doing that instead.
I think
yeah.
The issue with that is, the British government. Well, not the British government. Tiger and the people in the gaming industry body in the UK that partnered with Rio Ferdinand and he's got websites saying this is how you set up your parental controls. But the simple reality is it's easy to put it on a website, but a parent needing to go out, and not all parents and adults of 40, 50 plus year old, not all of them know what they're doing with the magical box of mystery machines. They just look at it and think it plays games. I'm not interested. Let the kid play it and just crack on. It acts as if sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of massive overreach, but at the same time, a government takes a fair amount of money in taxes off of people, no matter what country you are, and they're meant to use that tax and to look after the people, look after the country. And looking after the country also means looking after children and their future. The education, more than just the education system, making sure that companies aren't able to prey on them and not leaving everything up to parents who may not be educated or know enough about the certain aspects. And let's face it, kids can get around these parental controls on every single console. Because people aren't that smart to use a massive multi-layered password. Most people barely use a good password no matter where they work. That's including the NSA and CIA and MI6.
Yeah, but besides that, I think it's also something of a discrimination for gaming, because sure, gaming can be very addictive, but so can many other entertainment.
100%.
So, I mean, are they also going to restrict how many hours these minors watch on TV? Or I don't think so.
I wouldn't be surprised if they already do.
Yeah, but I think it's just easier for them to control online games. So yeah,
I think the thing is, to an extent, you're right, but at the same time, an interactive medium like gaming is far more addictive due to the feedback process in your brain than TV shows and films can be. That's not just me speaking, that's science. The fact that your dopamine levels do raise when you're playing something or doing something that you particularly find fun and rewarding, like beating a level on what can I say? Beating a level on Ratchet and Clank and is far more satisfying if it's a difficult level in particular than even watching the ending of a great film like Lord of the Rings. And I'm a massive fan of Lord of the Rings, as you're aware. But the fact is, your brain is hardwired to release chemicals based on these reward factors, and that's how loot boxes, card packs, everything all base themselves around.
Yeah, it's even worse when you're playing online games.
Mm.
Even gets more addictive.
Yeah. It's just pure science, and that's the problem video games has got, is the fact that whereas other mediums have got their reward factors, and watching a great film is really enjoyable, and I'll do that all day long at times. But as Francesco says, when you're playing a game online, one you're particularly good at, and killing people and doing whatever else, that instant reward factor, and then you want a gun to be able to do it better, and it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah,
you want that joy of unwrapping a favorite PNG file, you know?
That's true, but at the same time, I wasn't thinking so much about movies. I was thinking about like reality shows, for example. There are people who watch them, most of the day. They've
call
wasted.
Them sad bastards.
Yeah. So
Big Brother, shit like that.
I'm not sure they're showing them. I'm not sure they're showing them in China though. I just don't see it. But I don't know really. I never really researched this. I don't think it's very Chinese to show reality shows like they do in the West. So it's probably.
I'd rather watch some Japanese reality shows. I bet they are freaky as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, the ones where they hurt themselves all the time playing those weird games. and worse.
And now we watch Kenshiro climb a mountain with just his testicles. What? So yeah.
Okay. So let's move from Japan to Sony, I'd say.
Yeah.
To PlayStation.
John, talk to us about Sony then, Alessio.
Well then, they've just announced a PlayStation showcase, and it's coming soon, and there are also.
In fact, the PlayStation showcase will be live because we're starting to I'm pushing these podcasts out at the same time every Wednesday. So the PlayStation showcase will be out the day after this podcast is live.
Yeah, on Thursday. And there are already some rumors, juicy rumors, I'd say, because it seems like God of War could be showcased for the first time. And also there could be other super announcements.
Oh, Ratchet and Clank.
Again.
I had to say it. I did.
We just had one.
Chris would play Ratchet and Clank all day.
I do like it. I do enjoy it. What do you think's gonna? We know it's not going to be Horizon. God of War, yeah.
Well, maybe Gran Turismo.
Yeah, to be fair, that is due. So yeah, Gran Turismo. Trying to think of what else they could.
Yeah, they're probably going to show. They're probably going to show Forspoken, because the voice actress.
Another knack.
No.
They're going to show Forspoken, yeah. So the voice actress is in something on Instagram. So I don't think they're going to show that at the Tokyo Game Show. So they're probably going to show that.
Or a completely new medieval game.
Yeah, like we never had one before.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of that Capcom game with the astronaut
Pragmata.
that was recently. Yeah.
I think they announced it at the showcase last year.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I remember right.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we got a teaser for a new Team Ico game, because it's been a while now.
Yeah, Ueda's been bound to be up to something.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, they've got to be, because didn't they announce like last year or something that they've got something like they've got a massive pipeline of about 70 titles for the PS5 coming out eventually.
Yeah, I think they said they are working on 25 exclusives or something.
I thought it was like 70. Where did I get a 70 from?
First, 70. Yeah, that seems.
Might have been indie games as well. I don't know. But yeah, surely Team Ico's got to be working on something, because it's been, what, nearly 5 years now since Last Guardian?
Yeah.
Seems like it.
But, personally, I think it might be finally the venue to unveil the multiplayer game that Naughty Dog is doing. Because, as you know, there should have been a multiplayer with The Last of Us Part 2, but it was basically spun off, and it's going to be a standalone game now. There are also rumors that it will have a huge map, maybe with the Battle Royale mode. So
whoa,
surprise and expect.
Woo! What next? Live service?
Personally, I'd like it more like an MMO, but then I'd like an MMO.
You want everything to be an MMO.
Yeah, basically. So.
And I generally like the original like multiplayer to The Last of Us, even with like the weird like pseudo like base building or online component there. That was a little strange, but I did like the moment to moment action that they were able to pull off with the player. So
yeah, it was fun. I think it's reportedly much more ambitious than that. So should be. I mean, Sony is not so quietly going towards multiplayer games as well. So
I was just reading then, because I just thought, yeah, what are Team Ico doing? Ueda's announced that Ueda announced in 2018, or revealed it was in the prototype stage of designing a new game. That was September 2018. And then earlier last year, March 2020, Epic Games announced they were fully funding the development of it, splitting, just fully,
right, yeah.
But then again, that's with them, so I don't know.
It's going to be an interesting showcase for sure.
But then again, that's Ueda who left Team Ico in 2011, so what the actual Team Ico are doing, who knows?
And
so yeah, I think you're probably right about Gran Turismo. I would imagine that's going to be revealed.
yeah, because there really isn't like a big tentpole racing title on PlayStation now that I can think of it.
No.
Like they haven't announced any single racing game for PS5 aside from the cross-platform. Well, not just Gran Turismo, but I mean, we had Dirt. We had I think WRC was also PS5, but nothing PS5 exclusive as of yet.
No. In fact, well, when it comes to Dirt and things like that, you'll never see them on the PS5. Oh no, Dirt Codemasters were bought by EA, not by Microsoft. I can't even remember who's bought who anymore now.
It's all musical chairs, and Tencent's just nipping at the heels of everyone, it seems.
Yeah.
God.
And also, I mean, another piece of news that we wanted to talk about is Mass Effect possibly using Unreal Engine instead of Frostbite. So I'd like Francesco to take the lead on this one, since he reviewed Andromeda.
Yeah, I think they're going to make. I think they're making the right choice if they're doing this. Because I remember reports saying that Frostbite was not good for role-playing games, and Andromeda it kind of shows it. There were it's not a bad game because I really like the combat, but everything else just it needed months to fix. Yeah, but I really like the combat, and they had multiplayer and built upon the single player combat, and it was good. But everything else just was, even after years, even after they fixed it, it's still not as good as the other the first 3 games. So they're probably going to do something good if they decide to just ditch Frostbite. EA Electronic Arts has the money to buy the license, pay for the licensing, and all that kind of stuff. So they really should go and do that.
I think the thing, I remember we had a discussion when it was Keith, me, and Alessio at one point, and I said the same thing. The Frostbite engine's good if you're making a shooter, but it's dog shit for everything else. And it's proven that time and time and time and time again.
Yeah.
I mean, the sad reality is when it came to, I probably saw the same article you did, Francesco, where it came to making Andromeda, they had to build so many things from scratch, which included simple things like item menus.
Yeah, they lacked the menus. Everything was so I can see why they just had to rush trying to get a functional game that it was functional, but really, 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 really rough.
Yeah, and them moving. In fact, I'm fairly certain I said they'd be better off just going to the Unreal Engine, and either they heard me or I'm dreaming.
I mean, it's going back to the Unreal Engine because all the other Mass Effect games were made with the Unreal Engine, so it's really going back.
It just makes sense.
And we're at the point where even Japanese. Where even Japanese developers have started using Unreal Engine for pretty much everything, and they really didn't do that in the previous generation. So there are probably very good reasons to go this way.
Yeah. I was to say, maybe this is what's taken so long for Anthem 2.0 to finally drop, is a big old engine shift.
No, that's just because...
Never going to happen. But
I said, that's because the game's dead.
Oh, they decided to drop the ball on that one in favor of Dragon Age and Mass Effect. I am worried though that Dragon Age instead is going to be still on Frostbite, since that one is closer, And,
I imagine that will be, and that's could damage it. And the fact is that the scary reality, I think the reality is, and it's worrying, but I think if the next Dragon Age ends up being another damaging hit like Anthem was, it will sell more than Anthem simply because of the Dragon Age name. But if it gets bad reviews and it ends up being broken like Andromeda was, there's BioWare could be not long for this world. Sorry?
Don't send out review copies. That's their solution.
I mean, to be fair, out of the last 3 games that BioWare has released, the Dragon Age Inquisition was the best one. I mean, by far. It was quite good.
The competition was, again, Andromeda, which was sadly broken as hell, and Anthem, which wasn't even a game. It was a tech demo.
Yeah.
True.
And Sonic, somewhere in there.
I'm still waiting for speaking of live services games, just because I like to throw it in every single time. I'm still waiting for Square Enix to announce the death of Avengers. It is coming. Mark my words.
Well, I think they really need to get Spider-Man out there. Like, that's the last big content drop that they've announced, as far as I can recall. So I think they probably have some sort of contractual thing in there where they have to get him out for Sony platforms. But after that,
they're losing money every single month on Avengers.
It's always on sale. It's always on sale.
It's never been profitable. The game has never been profitable. Square Enix have lost. I mean, even when it was first released, they'd lost over 60 million on it, and that's after it sold 3 million copies. Imagine how much they've lost in total now with constant development. Well, I say constant development, with slow development on the new characters, and the fact, and when they make stupid decisions Didn't they alter it so like they increased the grind?
Yep.
Yeah, when they make fucking moronic decisions like that. So yeah, Avengers. Mark my words. If it's not within the next 3 months, it will be announced as dead within the first half of next year. Where sadly we will have to postpone all development on Marvel's The Avengers because I don't know. Sonic told me to.
Well, on the upside, I think Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be much more, well received. It's also a single player game, so
Okay.
yeah, I think
I'm okay with that then. I was going to say, if that's surely they're not stupid enough to do another live service title.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
No, yeah. My problem with that one is it's Peter Quill only. Like you don't have other playable characters. You've got the AI companions there, so that kind of ruined my excitement for it. But I'll still give it a shot. Like heck, I haven't played Avengers for God knows how many hours, and
I wanted to play as the Badger.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the Trash Panda.
Trash Panda.
Okay.
So
all right.
Yeah. So what is everybody playing then? In fact, speaking back of the conference, have you seen anything that you're allowed to tell us by Wednesday? Because some things will obviously be embargoed if you've seen anything behind closed doors.
Honestly, I think just about everything I've seen is for public consumption. The only thing that was behind closed doors was Apogee's lineup, which they even had some of that on the show floor. So I got to see Dead Fury, which is their zombie wave shooter, trying to go in the vein of Days Gone. That's like a 2023 release. Turbo Overkill, which is their big like voxel first-person shooter. That's 2022. Just about everything else I've seen has been like directly on the show floor, and there's some pretty good indie darlings out there. One that I do want to give props to is Grim Tranquility, coming from a studio called Poorly Timed Games. That was actually just announced a day or two before the show. So if you're into strategy RPGs, that one's worth checking out. Still pretty early on. Still further along than some of the other titles I've seen at PAX so far.
Fair enough. How about you, Alessio? Anything you're allowed to talk out with Wednesdays when it's coming out? So anything you're allowed to talk about, or what are you just playing?
Well, I've previewed Far Cry 6, and I mean it's already on the website, but we can talk about that a bit if you want. So, yeah, I'd say it's looking really good so far. I mean, Kai reviewed the last game, I think, Far Cry 5, and I'd say it's that with much broader set of options available to the players. Both in terms of arsenal, weapons, and also traversal. And it's also going to have a greater cinematic focus, so to speak, because the cutscenes are going to be in third person instead of first person. Actually, you're going to also have a segment in like the base app where you go towards third person view instead of first person. Basically the game switches between first person and third person to give you a look of the character,
Yeah.
And also there is of course Giancarlo Esposito playing the villain, which could be pretty spectacular if they do it right. So personally, I'm quite eager to play the final game. The gameplay is very very smooth as always, very tight, and very fun to be playing and to be playing. It's really a kind of sandbox shooter experience that not many single player games have these days. So I'd say everyone who is into that should be looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So one thing that I was kind of curious about is if they're trying to go like a little bit more grounded, like they were with Far Cry 5, as far as like the weapons and that sort of stuff goes, or if they're leaning more in towards like the bombastic, the over the top, silly weapons. Like I know that you have Chorizo as one of your things for hire.
Far Cry New Dawn.
How's that? Yeah, New Dawn. That was the one I was thinking of. So how is it in 6?
Well, you have, of course, the amigos, which are the animal companions. There is chorizo, but there's also a crocodile. So
Okay.
yeah, and as far as the weapons, there are many regular weapons. I think it's the biggest roster of weapons yet in the franchise, or so they've said. But there are also quite a few crazy ones. I mean, there is a CD-ROM launcher. So basically, yeah, it's it has the Macarena music and before you throw it. And also there are these Supremo packs, which you basically strap to the back, and you can, for example, throw rockets, sorry, and it basically fills up like an ultimate ability. It takes a while, but you can unleash shell once you have it running, basically. So yeah, it is a bit crazy, but I'd say it's in the Far Cry style after all. So one thing that's also interesting is how, Far Cry 5, for example, or even the earlier Far Cries, all had a single biome, basically. It was the same setting throughout the entire game, but this time it's more like Yara is a country, So there are many different biomes, many different environments. So it is more diverse, aesthetically. And also you can holster weapons. So there is an element of kind of stealth as well, blending in. So you're not necessarily shoot at immediately in some outposts if you want to play that way and be more stealthy. So it's really an open sandbox that you can approach the way you prefer.
Cool.
Sounds like the game's going to be good then. I would be remiss now at the amusing stuff that's happened with Kotaku over the past week. Be remiss if I didn't point that out. They didn't go to the preview, so they ended up talking a lot about what people have said in the preview and essentially doing what I always do, which I'm going to have to do now because I always do it, is point out the fact that Ubisoft are still embroiled in massive issues with the sexual abuse and everything, and the management are still ignoring staff. But that's something I have to say because Ubisoft are twats and we still don't know what's happening there, and also Activision Blizzard still haven't said anything. And that's gone very quiet now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It irritates me. But that's just me. I hate the companies when they're like that. Francesco, what are you playing?
Yeah. When is this going live?
Wednesday.
I need the exact hour because there's an embargo.
Please note this is after 7 a.m. Pacific time.
Wednesday. So 1 second. When did I put it live last week? When did I put it live last week? Why are you making me go on Google now?
Because I don't want ninjas on my door.
Well, just
Japanese ninjas.
Just shoot them. Get a gun from America.
I have a sword, so maybe I can fight a couple of them off.
Is it what?
I don't know when it went. I don't remember.
I can talk about this game if it goes live after 4 p.m. my time, so 3 p.m. your time.
You might be out of luck there. Then when did I can't remember when I put it live. It doesn't tell me.
It's okay, we can talk about it after the cameras stop rolling.
Yeah, we'll talk about it after the cameras.
I mean, Francesco,
Yeah,
just
okay.
talk about Pathfinder then. That's
Yeah, Pathfinder. You know, I always like the role-playing games, computer role-playing games.
Yeah.
But and Pathfinder is a very, very good game. And I really enjoyed it. But sometimes I wonder if this trying to make games play exactly like the tabletop versions is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because Pathfinder is good. It's very, very, very long. Like I rushed through, and it took me like 70 hours to get through. But most of the time I spent was reading tutorials because I don't really have a very in-depth knowledge of Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons. I know enough, but maybe sometimes things are too complicated. I don't see these games, if they are trying to do this, if they're trying to make these games more popular with people who don't usually play these games. When it's too complicated, you just get lost in the numbers, the classes, and maybe this is what has damaged the game a bit. I also highlighted this in the review. It's probably a game that fans will love, but everyone else will stop at like 5 hours, 6 hours in, because there's a lot to take in, and it can be confusing. But it's a good game, especially if you like a good story, because it's very well written.
So compared to something like Divinity Original Sin 2, which is basically the benchmark of CRPGs nowadays.
I honestly, I think Divinity is a little bit better. It's complex, but not as complex as Pathfinder, and it's just more varied. And the tactical combat is better. Tactical combat in Pathfinder is very, very basic. To be honest, I think it's the way to play the game, but it's very basic. Original Sin 2 has those ground effects from the spells, the fact that you can alter the battlefield with spells, that it's just a step further, just ahead in this regard. I think it's generally better, but Pathfinder is a good game. It's very traditional. It doesn't do anything you don't expect.
Fair play. Well, I've decided now. The podcast will go up now every Wednesday and I will make it 12 o'clock my time, spot on midday. So it'll go up at 12. So that'll be 1 your time.
Okay. Chris, why don't you talk about House of Ashes a bit then?
So I enjoyed. Same as all of the Dark Pictures games, I enjoy them, and House of Ashes was enjoyable. Yeah, my preview went up. So, like most Dark Pictures games, you're going to find it's very linear. It is, well, I say linear, but no, you've got a lot of branching decisions, and already I've seen where some of the decisions will take you here. One such decision is you're running away from this giant creature thing, and there's a soldier he's quite badly torn up. He was hanging there from some barbed wire, so he's not had a good day. He really hasn't had a good day. And so you're holding him while your mate gets some morphine out to tell him. You're holding his face like this. Hold it too long, and I did do this. Spoilers, and you will suffocate him. He will die. Let go at the right time, and he will survive. How long, I don't know. I don't imagine he's going to survive long. Well, you've got big creatures chasing you.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing about House of Ashes in particular, I mean, everything by Supermassive Games, the way they do lighting, there is no video game, there's no developer in the world that does lighting better than Supermassive. I will state that right now. They've made it now so instead of a fixed camera, you've got full control of the camera, complete 3D movement. You can turn the torch on, the flashlight, as the Americans call it, at the end of your gun, point it where you want, directing it with the analog stick. Freedom of movement now because you've got the freedom of camera.
Mm-hmm.
Though a lot of it is still very much like the other Dark Pictures games. And same as I said in my review, the one thing I'm really hoping, and I am so hoping, that this isn't like Little Hope and Man of Medan, where the end of the game it's essentially it was all a dream, or it was all toxic fumes, or it was a hallucination, or you're just suffering from survivor's guilt and they were never real. I just want something that's. I want a genuine horror story. I want the threat to have been real when it comes to the end, not a silly M. Night Shyamalan twist.
That always seems like a cop out to me. Unless it's really well done and well
like
weaved
The Sixth Sense.
Yeah,
that was a fantastic twist. At the end of a horror film, the horror game where. Again, Little Hope, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it better than Man of Medan, but the ending was a cop-out where you come to the end, and spoilers if you've not played it, but you're just playing the main character from the prologue, and everything was just a dream where the characters looked like your family, which burnt in a house fire. It's like, fuck off. Just have the people real.
Yeah.
I've also read, I think, that House of Ashes will have kind of more combat, or it will be more of a traditional game than previous Supermassive games. Is that correct?
Not that I've noticed. Not that I've noticed.
So it's still very much kind of on rails, so to speak.
So when you, how can I say it? The areas you go to, you can explore a little more. So it's not like it's completely on rails in the sense that you've just got to go through this one. You're still going to have to go through a particular door, but you're just searching around bigger areas, sort of thing, because you've got more movement of the camera. From what I've experienced when it comes to actually running away from the monster I put a recording up, so you'll see that when you're running away from the monster, you're still doing the quick time events, where you've got decisions to make. They're still based on quick time events. Even shooting is based on. I think they did it in the earlier games where you have to cut a rope or something. You've got to direct a crosshair to something and then press the button. When you want to shoot the monster, you direct the crosshair to it like it's a rail shooter, and then pull the trigger. But you only get to pull it once, and then the cutscene continues. So it feels very much like every other Dark Pictures game, just with a bit more freedom. And also, you still walk like a tank. They really need to improve the movement speed.
Yeah,
that's my one criticism now.
Yeah, but that builds up the suspense.
It does when there's creatures around. It doesn't build up suspense when you're in a big room and the objective is find some fucking gas to turn on the generator. That's not building suspense. That's just wasting my time. And then when you find the gas, find some duct tape because the generator's old. And you've got to walk around every square inch, look at every glinting object, and hope to fucking hell it's the duct tape. I'm not saying let me sprint everywhere. You wouldn't do that in an abandoned tomb where it's falling around you. But you would walk faster than a crawling toddler.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
Still, it looks good.
Okay. Going to horror. Yesterday there was also a leak about Alan Wake Remastered. So apparently it's coming out on October 5th. So
what's that?
It's Alan Wake Remastered.
Oh, I like it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to play that. I will play that because I love horror games. I love horror. I watched The Empty Man last night. That's a decent film. It's not a general horror film as well. Completely moving off subject here. It's a very Cthulhu-esque style thing. Just what is it? He's very mind twisty. He's good. Very good. People will probably not like it because it makes you think.
Okay. Any parting words from Seattle?
I gotta not get COVID, but I'm thinking of hitting up like a seafood place or something that Seattle's known for. Like I got the clam chowder in Boston for PAX East, so gotta find some memorable dish while I'm out here. This is coming from someone that spent $30 on a bowl of ramen because it's from an Iron Chef restaurant.
What?
Yeah, I went to Chef Morimoto's, one of his places downtown, and got a not prime rib, but some other pricey, succulent, juicy cut of meat in my ramen bowl. Just would not pay that price again. That's for sure.
I don't blame you, you mad bastard.
No.
Yeah.
How about from Italy? Any parting words?
Francesco, let's begin south.
Yeah, let's start. My parting word is that I'm happy that summer is almost over. It's finally cloudy, it's raining, it's not hot anymore. Finally, I can start living again. Because in summer, I'm dead.
Yeah.
I think Francesco really is a wildling. I think he's really from beyond the wall.
It just belongs with me up north in England.
Yeah, I wish. You know, when it's up to over 40 degrees for like 10 days straight, I don't think anyone can survive here unless they were born here, because it's really, really, really rough.
Well, 40 degrees is not fucking normal. It's not normal. Not
but
normal. I were in Malta once, it was 40 degrees. I looked out the window every single time, or came from under the shade, and I'm like, that's not fucking normal. Get it away from me. Turn off the fireball.
Only that it doesn't go away.
Turn off the fireball.
Yeah, it's very, 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 very bad. But thankfully, it seems like it's over. Finally.
And the north of England? North of Italy?
Well, more like middle, but yeah, it's next week a new world goes into open beta, so I'm quite excited about that because I'm going to play it with my guild, hopefully, and we'll see if it catches on. It may be Amazon's first. I'm not sure if it's going to be a success, but I'm pretty sure it won't be like Breakaway or Crucible.
Crucible.
So,
yeah.
So it should be fun for at least for a while.
At least they got a game out, unlike Google.
Yeah. And Chris?
I'm dying. I'm slowly dying of throat infection, which is swollen up, and I can't eat really solid food at the moment. And I'm playing Football Manager, and I've got to catch up on other reviews. In fact, I will hopefully get the Rims review out before this goes live. In fact, I fully intend on doing that. But I also fully intend on not dying, so... Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
50-50.
Yeah, I'm leaning closer towards just ringing Grim Reaper up and saying, "Oi, come here, quickly, you set of fucking bastards."
Okay, let's hope not.
Yeah, but to be fair, when he comes, I'll probably tell him to sod off and punch him.
You gotta say it, not today.
What?
You got a reply, not today.
No, I won't say not today. I'll just tell him sod off. Oi, you, sod off, you bony git.
All right.
I'm not afraid of death. He's nothing on me. Also, I have a Code Vein head bandana. So yeah, that's random. Last thing.
Nice.
So yeah.
Okay.
On the note of the bandana, we will see you all next time. Okay? Don't get the COVID.
I'll try not to die. Not until I finish Tales of Arise.
I'm slightly worried that that's the only thing you're surviving for.
He's like on the deathbed playing Tales of Arise. I need to finish the final battle.
At least he's chosen a long game for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Enjoy all and see you all in a bit.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.